The Awaken Heartist podcast with John White.
Aliens. Are they real? Find out today why your belief system doesn't matter, even to you. Listen as we dismantle, subject by subject, one by one, why you are a dummy. Only on the Awakened Heartist podcast. Take it away, Jerry! It's John. Whatever!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Awakened Heartist podcast. In this episode, I'm going to discuss personal beliefs. I chose this topic as the third episode to give you an idea on my beliefs and the importance of them to me, hoping that this will help everyone understand my thought process a little bit more. It can be a bit all over the place, and I figured this would give a little bit of structure to it. I'm hoping that this does something primarily for you. You know, if you don't have any beliefs, if you're maybe an atheist, or you feel very strongly about your own personal beliefs, or you're somewhere in the middle, and maybe you're trying to find your own beliefs. I hope that this will have something for everybody. You know, if you strongly have your own beliefs, maybe we agree on a couple things, or maybe we don't, and I don't know, you realize that I'm not for you, or better yet, you realize that we have some things in common. And maybe we'll share some perspective later on down the road and some things that I bring up in these podcasts. Maybe if you're one of those people that are trying to find a belief system and are just out there just kind of discovering and learning about as much as you possibly can, then maybe you get something out of this and it adds to it. I hope it's beneficial. I think that it's important for people, and this is just my opinion, to have a belief system. When you have a belief system, it does something for you. It kind of helps you see where you fit in the universe. Possibly. It does for me, at least. Gives you guidelines to follow. It can be a good thing. It helps give you structure. And structure is an important thing in life. We all want to have at least some kind of base. Even if you travel all over the place, you still want to have some kind of vehicle, that's your base that gets you from place to place. Now, as far as my beliefs, they're a collection of my entire life's experiences, for one, but primarily over the past 7 years. So when I started my quote-unquote spiritual awakening, when that all happened, I really dove in researching as much as I could. I wanted to learn about everything. And I love to fucking research stuff. I love to dive into a random topic on a Wednesday night when I'm sitting around, put the kids to bed, relax and grab some tea, pop on YouTube, and learn about wormholes. I don't know. Through my research, I've learned a lot about a lot of different people's ideas, and I've taken all of it and just stored it. And also, when you listen to somebody speak about something, or you read something, or you watch something, and it just really resonates with you, those are the things that I organize within my mind, where it's like, these are the important things. This is the stuff I'm really into. I want to really break this down. And the other stuff is just kind of there to maybe go back and touch on a little bit. Sometimes it's to disprove what I'm diving into, because I have a large level of skepticism. But at the same time, I also have faith. And it's tricky, because when it comes to our beliefs, I think that we as human beings are very small when it comes to this universe. So there's not a single one of us on this planet that has it all figured out. Now, there might be like 20 of us that have some real legit ideas that are right and have figured out maybe a puzzle piece to the universe. And if you maybe got those 10 people together, you might be able to put some really amazing ideas together to form what makes up the universe. I don't know. Or maybe there's just something above us that we just can't understand that's more complex. And I really think that that's really what it is. So at some point, you have to have some kind of faith, because otherwise you don't really have an end to your beliefs, if that makes sense. You know, you can believe in science up to some point, but that still doesn't explain everything. So if it doesn't explain everything, then you're just believing in part of the equation with no big picture. And without faith, somewhere down the line, you have to fill in that gap. I realized that diving into trying to understand how the universe works, there's clearly no answer from the human perspective. It comes down to whatever you believe in, really, whatever gets you through your life to be happy, that gives you structure, that makes you feel good, it ends up giving you goals in the long run, things to accomplish. And that's all that really matters. So I do want to say that, you know, all of these beliefs that I have are based on my experiences, research, stories I've heard. Mostly, though, most of it's my gut and how I feel about things when I interact with another person. When I read something, like I was saying, how does that make me feel? Certain things give me a feeling of, oh, that just feels right. That gut instinct. That's where I've kind of taken all of my ideas and I built them into one thing that basically piggybacks off another. I've really put a lot of thought into this over and over again. And in this episode, I'm going to be pretty brief about most of it. I'm not going to really climb into the beliefs themselves, because a lot of these topics that I'm going to go over, I will end up having separate podcasts in the future. Science is behind a lot of this. The skeptic in me needs science to be the large base of most of it. And I guess from there, faith fills in some of the gaps. The foundation of all my ideas is that everything is energy. Plain and simple. I know you've all heard that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So that's pretty much the basis of everything. I also believe that there is an order to things. That gets a little tricky because I also believe in free will, but I'll get to that. And I believe that order is math, sacred geometry. Math is the foundation. That ties it all together. But having said that, with the order that there is to things, I believe that there are different dimensions or different densities. When you think about energy, energy vibrates. It can vibrate very slow, very fast. The faster energy vibrates, we can't physically see energy at that point in time. The slower it vibrates, the more physical things become, at least to us. And I believe that we live in the third dimension. Therefore, our vibration fits well with this density. And if we were to raise that vibration, and there's numerous ways of doing that, that we could connect with other dimensions and densities. Now, I also believe that as human beings, we're only capable of vibrating to a certain frequency or speed for us to exist on this plane or in this dimension. Also, we are consciousness, and that consciousness more or less needed a body to exist in this dimension. And now we get into the idea of what's the purpose of being here? You know, what is the purpose of coming to this planet, living as a human being? I believe that we have a higher self, and this higher self creates fragments of itself to have different experiences, to learn different lessons. Time is not linear as we look at it. Time is not linear as we see it. In different dimensions, there's no past and present. It's just now. And the past and present is accessible. So when we come here for these lessons and these experiences, We want to learn lessons because those lessons help our soul, our higher self, grow. If we look at the entire planet Earth, everything here that lives, from bacteria all the way up to us, basically at the top of the food chain, is about growth. You can look at plants, and it's very easy to see that the strong survive. The animal kingdom is the same way, all the way across the board. Everything is about the smarter you are, the easier it is for you to survive. And the purpose is to grow more and more to be able to survive. The areas I've grown the most in are the things I'm the most proud of when it comes to myself, because I overcame. It feels good to overcome something. So from the higher self perspective, this fragment of itself, experiencing all of these things that are not able to be experienced in different dimensions, because this earth brings a very special experience that we're not able to get in other dimensions or planets, or however you want to look at it. But one, having these experiences and the lessons we get from those experiences, and two, just the experiences themselves of being able to love someone, to hurt someone. It's underestimated, I guess, overall, to just experiencing emotions without going too far and too in depth, and maybe I already have, certain frequency to a certain on this or this in this part of this I believe that, so it gets hard to understand that, but ties into a lot of things of this. I believe we are that, but uh-oh.
Dad, does John have an explodey head?
Yeah, actually, that's a really good way of putting it. I think his belief system got the better of him. We're going to have to get him some medical attention. We need to get out of here, so we're going to have to vibrate fast and higher and stuff.
Okay.
You ready?
Oh, wow! Michikaku is right.
What's this?
It's the 11th dimension, Dad.
Oh, that's great. So all we have to do is get his show from this dimension. We'll bring it back to our dimension, and then we'll play it for everyone, and no one will know. So where can we find this? Oh, hi. Come again? A cassette tape? Really? That's the best you got? All right, good enough. We'll work with it.
Without going too far and too in depth, and maybe I already have, that's the basic idea. I believe from that there's karma involved and things that we do. It's like a karmic energy, more or less, that we need to clear. It's just like doing something to somebody that you know is wrong, and it doesn't feel good, but you're doing it because it benefits you in some way, and then you go on in your life and you have this guilt about that thing. Our soul kind of has that same thing, and that's what karma is. It's just that either needs to be cleared or just felt, I guess. I do believe that the higher self is, and this is going to get weird, it's our future self, because of the time situation I discussed, that is putting out different aspects or different fragments to get different experiences, to help the future self get what it needs to feed into that future consciousness. So with saying all that, I do believe in reincarnation.
Reincarnation is really a big basis of all of my beliefs. I always think about this. If everybody on the entire planet believed or knew that reincarnation absolutely 1000% was what happens, then we would treat people so much differently. We would treat ourselves so much differently. We would not want to redo things. If you have a shitty life, you're not going to want to redo it over and over again. Every time you have a chance of taking the easy route, there's a good chance that you're just not going to take that, because you're like, fuck, if I take the easy route, I'm going to do this over and over again. It's just going to keep on repeating until I do the harder thing. The harder thing gives you the growth. In the long run, we all know that it feels like shit to treat someone we love terrible. And, if you don't have that empathy, maybe it's because you haven't lived a life to be able to experience that empathy. If you don't have any empathy and you hurt people and don't understand what that does, maybe it's because you haven't lived a life where you've been hurt. And maybe the next one that's coming is that karma coming back for you to experience pain so that you get an appreciation for that. I think about it every day, in all honesty, for my own soul's growth. I've spent so much time trying to figure out my beliefs here. And now that I have a belief system, it's kind of just in my back pocket. And it's like, sweet. Now I just got to kind of follow these guidelines. And from there, I get to have these experiences now in life that kind of coincide with that. So I have to check in with my beliefs, and reincarnation comes up quite a bit because every time something happens that maybe is bad or good, it's like, sweet, I just got something out of this. If it's a bad situation, I look at it and I say, but what did I get? What am I gonna get? And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of times when certain things, like just fucking driving and some asshole doesn't know how to drive, so you just hear the tone of my voice changing, I don't start thinking about reincarnation. I start yelling like a idiot in a car. So yeah, I'm human too, even with this belief system. But the bigger picture stuff, the things that are a little bit harder, that's where the reincarnation ideas start to fall back. And hey, what part of the lessons is this? If I'm redoing something over and over again, it's, hey, what is the lesson here? So I can stop doing this. I believe in mediumship. I think that you can have psychic abilities. I think there's a lot of aspects to the human that we have not tapped into, or that we did a long time ago and it just got lost because we got so lost and wrapped up in greed in the third density, more or less, which is the self. And this planet has been about survival for a long time. That's all about me, the self. It's not about we. It's when you talk about survival, and I know very much about this because I only knew survival growing up poor and not having things, and my mentality was always about me and then my family as well, but it was always about surviving. And when you have that mentality, you don't tend to think about others. And I think that we are growing out of that at this point in time. And through my own personal experiences, mediumship has really opened up the door for all of this for me. Because one of the things that I needed some solid proof, mediumship gave that to me. Because there's no way me meeting these mediums I have, and believe me, I stuck to the yes and no during the mediumship, during the readings. Like, I'm not giving this person anything. There's no way I'm not going to make a fool of myself. And some just amazing things happened during those readings that completely changed my way of thinking. And it snowballed into more and more of this. And me wanting to learn about all these other things I didn't think were possible that were connected to mediumship and life after death and near-death experiences and blah, blah, blah. So many things. And I also, along with the mediumship and the reincarnation, I do believe in soul groups. I believe that we have a group that we came here with, agreeing upon choosing our parents. There's more than likely, when you choose your parents, there's some kind of karma, some kind of learning that's going on there. And if you really start just actually believe in it, like try to believe in the reincarnation idea, even if you don't, think about how that would work. There's so many different possibilities of how you could serve and help others or get lessons out of just coming back and experiencing life with those people. So, the overall thing of all of this is it just comes back to energy, and everything is connected through energy, and we are all one. So the benefit of having these soul groups is like growing together, graduating together, like through big accomplishments and helping each other. And you start to become really happy in life, and which I have recently. I started to become less about myself and more about others. And it's just come naturally to me. Like I want to do more things for other people. Now that I've found my happiness, I really genuinely like to to do other things for other people. Helping each other is a big thing because of that soul group idea and the idea that we are all one. But I also believe in spirit guides, and I believe that we, before we incarnate, have these contracts in a way, you could call them, with these other beings that we've shared lives with, that it's like, hey, I'm going to go through this really tough fucking life. I'm going to grow up poor. I'm going to do a lot of drugs and drink alcohol. There's going to be a lot of death in my life. I'm going to make some really bad decisions, and there's a really good chance I could fall off the rails and not accomplish what I want to accomplish. But I also need to accomplish all of these things, or all these fucked up things to happen, because all these fucked up things are going to give me this amazing strength and this wisdom and this knowledge that I'll be able to pass on to people later on in the future and help start to change things. But I have to have those things happen in order for me to be authentic and for me to be able to be myself later on down the road and serve my life's purpose. But hey, I really need you to watch my back while I'm doing all this, because I could quite possibly just die, in all honesty, because the drugs, the alcohol, the no love for self, all of these things. There's so many things that could take place. It's like, I'm going to need you in some moments to just kind of watch out and help me out. Whatever that is, energetically changing things. A lot of times in my situation, really bad things have happened that have woke me up to my own truth. So spirit guides are very essential, but that's my belief on what they are. And I do talk to them. I specifically have a couple of different energies that I can feel or just know, and have this like sense of knowing that I connect with, and they have different jobs for me, more or less. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it very much is a reality in my life. So on to the next big piece of this puzzle is free will. Now, I believe in free will and a little bit of fate as well. There is this pattern to everything, the math and the energy and the sacred geometry and all of that in these dimensions. There's an order and a pattern to everything that's laid out. And before we come into life, we kind of look at it and we say, it's like writing a book, but you're only writing the title of the chapters. And you're like, I need these things. You know, you kind of write these as the chapters, and these are the different parts that you hope to get to by there. But you really have to have free will, because if you don't have any choices, then that makes for fucking, I don't know, it just makes for an unsettling life for me. It doesn't make much sense. Something had to create me at some point in time, or creation had to happen. And why would they ever choose to just make everything be the way that they want it? Have you ever had a pet or a plant or even kids? You really don't want to put all those things, any kind of life, into a bubble as the overseer of that and just put them in a box, because it's not fun. There needs to be some surprises in there. And without free will and choice, there's no surprises, no sense of accomplishment. There's so much to free will. And again, that's another topic, but there is a little bit of structure and a little bit of fate that's involved there. Some things that you're looking to accomplish in life with those guides I was talking about, with your choices in life, you need to have a little bit of that structure that was already set up. Meeting a certain person at some point in time of your life that's supposed to trigger something in you, possibly, that makes you go and do what you're supposed to do, whatever it may be. But the other part of the pattern or the grid of energy, the sacred geometry to everything, the order to everything, this is where I believe in astrology. I think that energies are different throughout the universe, especially in our little part of the universe, in our solar system. Planets have their own unique energies, literally. The sky is a grid made up of different energies, and those energies interacting with each other will change life around those energies. And so, I mean, look at the moon. The moon, we clearly can see scientifically that the moon affects all the water on this planet. Which I also think is really weird, because it's some kind of coincidence that people start to act crazy around full moons, and we're like, what is it, like 90% of our bodies are made of water. And, we tie the word emotion with water, and the moon is pulling on the tides. What is it doing inside of us that makes us a little crazy sometimes? Or the other way around, if I wake up happy, I'm even 10 times happier. Again, going back to the reincarnation, when we're choosing life, we're choosing an exact time and place because we're going to have access to these energies. And they will be a part of who we are, an imprint upon this incarnation. And when we have that imprint, it will give us a really good chance later on in life to be able to accomplish the lessons that we came here to achieve. I also believe in patterns and synchronicities in the daily life. And what those patterns and synchronicities really are maybe our loved ones that have passed on, our spirit guides, a small part of fate mixed in there, just little signs to kind of lead us in the direction that we need to go. And I personally see them all the time. It's kind of reassuring whenever I get stuck in muddy water. It's like I'm kind of stuck in this swamp-like feeling, and I need to get out of it. I started asking for signs and synchronicities. And that's usually where it's like, hey, this is what you're missing. This is what you need to do. And a lot of times it's something that I don't want to do. And it takes like literally a smack upside the head. And like for the past year, it has been just literally be by yourself. No dating, no nothing. Learn everything you can about yourself. Love yourself, all of that. And that's fucking the worst for me. So I've been fighting that for a long time. That's what you get when you choose to incarnate, is a stubborn son of a bitch. So haha, joke's on me. As far as the signs and synchronicities go, that's a big part of my life. Overall though, I think life here, it's really about learning balance in all of your strengths and weaknesses. Because we all have weaknesses. We all have strengths. It's a matter of figuring those out, accepting the weaknesses, embracing the strengths, and through that, finding balance in your everyday life. Career, family, fun, time to yourself, hobbies, all those things we got to find balance in. Now that I have found a good balance, and trust me, I'm always testing it and adding something new and trying a little bit of something to add to it. And I mean, this podcast is one of those things right now. The balance is one of the biggest lessons I've had to learn in life. Balancing everything out. Being an Aries and having Gemini be part of my big three. I'm a Gemini moon. So like there's this thinking, and then there's this aggression towards going and getting things and making things happen, at least start. And then my Cancer rising is this thing, this part of me that I'm going into this with all these emotions and stuff. So I'm this mindful, very deep thinking, aggressive, make things happen, emotional person. Man, the balancing all of that out is a task. The other big part of who I am is understanding perspective in everything. Understanding what perspective means in life. Bigger picture. I like to think a lot in the bigger picture, that reincarnation thing and all of the karma to astrology, free will, all of it. I'm thinking about all these things on a daily basis. For me, I don't mind it. I love it, actually. Gets my structure, like I said. But perspective is important because, sure, I have all my beliefs and I understand my past and what I've experienced, but I haven't been anywhere in this world. I haven't traveled much because of being poor and choices I've made in my life. I haven't experienced much culture. So through movies and art and music, that's where I get most of my culture and my perspective on the world. I think a lot of ignorant people out there, they just lack a lot of perspective. And I love learning about new cultures because that perspective feeds me. I love being around new cultures. It can be uncomfortable when you're the odd person out. And I'm in a place where I'm starting to really get over that. And I'm speaking only from my point of view. We are all one at the end of the day. And to me, these borders and all this shit doesn't make this person any different. They just have different experiences. I look at like everybody in the world. You know, you grow up in your own neighborhood and you know this little neighborhood and you know what you learn from there. That's your culture for the rest of your life, pretty much. And it's awesome that there's so many different cultures and experiences across the world. Why would we not want to experience something new? It would be like watching the same fucking movie over and over again in life. It's terribly boring. I don't even want to do that twice. Perspective is very big. And stepping back and looking at things through other people's eyes is a big part of who I am and my belief system. Wrapping things up here, I want to just touch on a couple things. There's 3 books, The Law of One, The Kabbalion, and Spiritual Growth. They have been largely impactful on me finding myself and my belief system. And before I forget, Jesus and my beliefs in Jesus and Buddha and all these other great spiritual leaders throughout time, I do believe that they were incarnated at one point in time. And I believe that they've accessed parts of the human that we are still trying to do. And I believe that they had a higher density within a lower density dimension, if that can make sense. Their vibration was extremely high, and they were able to do things or see things that other people weren't able to do. I believe they were special for sure. Kind of. My mom was raised Catholic, went to Catholic school, and I never went to church except for funerals and weddings. So that's kind of my background, my belief system growing up. So Jesus is kind of, it's still part of my life, but in a different way. And it's still in a great way. I believe that Jesus and Buddha and all of these spiritual teachers, they're ascended masters. I believe that they have done some amazing things here on Earth. And their higher self has done some graduating, and they kind of came back to help people at times. I believe in a spiritual hierarchy in a way. I believe that something created everything somehow. Maybe it was through an idea. I don't know exactly how that works. It's way above me. And I'm fine with that. We all want to create. We want to create children. We want to grow plants. We want to have pets and watch them grow. That's our way of here on Earth creating. It can even be art. It can be music. It doesn't have to be something literally living. I mean, a painting is energetically alive in some way. Our need to want to create here is based on our soul's need to want to create on a different level. And all these lessons will teach us how to create and respect life to be able to create it, and a higher way of doing that. The overall idea of my beliefs is we're all one. Everything is connected throughout this grid. If something created me, I'm connected to it. If I create something, it's connected to me. As I think about this, I'm thinking again like, well, you said energy can't be created or destroyed. Yeah, there's a lot of taking energy and moving it over here to create something new and putting it together with other energies to make something new. So it's not necessarily that energy is being created or destroyed. And then there's the whole universe expanding thing. That's just beyond my pay grade. So I don't know about that shit. And I've learned to just accept that is what it is. I really hope you enjoyed this, or you got something out of it. Or maybe you just hate me now. You're like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. It completely doesn't make any sense. I don't really care. That's cool too, I guess. I really appreciate everybody listening and tuning in to my rambling. I hope it all made sense. Thanks again for listening. I do appreciate it. And more importantly, thanks for being my therapist again. If you'd like to learn more about me and my experiences, follow @AwakenHeartist on Instagram or visit the website awakenheartist.com.